Unity Escape Room Game Development Showcase for Year 2 of University. This is my escape room called Space Escape, or Spacescape. The first thing I had to do was decide on the theme of the game. At first I wanted to do a mineshaft theme because I thought it would be unique. However, when I looked for assets I decided otherwise. There were literally no free assets. And there were no paid assets apart from an entire game for mineshaft themes. I instead chose to spaceship as my theme, as there were a load more assets on the asset store and loads of sci-fi things that I could use to make a spaceship. The next was to decide on the story of my game. Why would someone need to escape a spaceship? If they're trying to get out, that means there's probably something wrong with it. So I decided to go with a spaceship that is damaged and falling apart. And the player has to get to the escape pods, but the ship has gone into lockdown. Therefore, the player must solve puzzles to get out. I then started sketching out the floor plan of the ship. This first design mostly went down well when it was reviewed. However, this long center section, this corridor here, wasn't very good. I got feedback saying it was too long and too empty and spaced out, and that it wouldn't make for very good placement of puzzles, as well as it kind of breaks up the format of the level. The rooms I have, you have the start, which is here. This is the which is number 1. This is the character's bedroom. The first and second puzzles to get out need to be solved to get out of this room and into room number 2, which is the common room for the crew quarters. So the idea is that this hexagonal room, or this room in the middle, the crew quarters, would have crew quarters coming off the crew common room in all different directions, and you'd start in one of them and you go into the crew quarters. The other rooms would all be blocked apart from room number 3, which you have to solve a puzzle in room 2 to get into room 3, and then use stuff found in all 3 rooms to then get out into the main corridor. Then there was an idea to have a anti-gravity puzzle in here where you'd walk down the corridor, and as you get to the end the gravity in the ship would break, or the artificial gravity would turn off and you would start floating, or the gravity would turn in one direction and then you'd be able to access separate parts or be able to do the next part. Although that was then later scrapped because it was too complicated to implement, as well as the middle section had been changed so it didn't really fit anymore. You then go into room 5, which is the escape pod bay, docking bay for all the escape pods. So all the escape pods will be lined up here. There's a computer console that you can use to find out which one, and that will have another puzzle built into it, as well as using a few other things from room 4 to solve a puzzle there. And then you open up the door to the escape pod, you get in, and you have to do a launch sequence to blast off. The corridor in the middle was originally put in to make the game, or to make the level feel more open and more like a real ship. Like there was more of the ship outside of where you could go, which is why these parts of the ends were blocked off. They were going to be blocked off using rubble or closed doors or something that would stop the player from moving in there, but that was later scrapped. This was my next design, and the center part was changed because only the center part was changed, and it was changed into 2 rooms, so which gave a lot more opportunity for different puzzles. And this little air vent that was later scrapped in the end, but it was changed in this one to go from room 1 to room 2 rather than from room 1 to room 3. This was because if it was going from room 1 to 3, it would be missing about 2 or 3 puzzles, Whereas going from room to 1 to 2, it's only missing one puzzle, but it's also adding in a different one. So you're basically having a choice between two separate puzzles. On to grey boxing. The grey boxing of the level was simple, and it really didn't take very long. It was mostly used to figure out the scale and the layout of the level, as well as to test a few interactable objects. This was the floor plan in the grey boxing level. This is the grey boxing level inside Unity. So it was just literally made out of a few separate shapes. So you've got one shape for each room, and then there's small cutouts, shapes for the doorways. And then there's just a few test objects inside. So inside you've got I put down a desk so you could see the scale of the character. I put down an object that I was going to use to test the physics and some of the interactables. This was going to be a keypad to test a door mechanism, but that was done later on. And then there's just a few objects in here that you can pick up. One that says what it is. This one's another pickup object. This one has physics to it. I had quite a bit of problems getting the physics to work properly. That was due to the code that I was testing off of it was using the location, the direction of the entire map rather than the direction of where the player is facing. And then in here there's a test document sphere which you press and it just eats it up, puts in your inventory, although it's not actually here, I think because it's missing a sprite object. And then this is the inventory system, which is more like the first inventory system I had the style of, rather than the end one. And there's a bug where you can't change which slot you've selected, but you can open it up and it says what the object is that you got selected at the moment. So it gives it a name and it gives it a description, and then there's a little picture in the bottom right corner. So this room is going to be the starting room that the player wakes up in, their crew quarters. Then you come into the main crew common room, and then this is a separate other crew members' quarters. Looking at this now, it's all a lot smaller than the final product, which actually helps quite a lot, because this crew common room is very small compared to what I ended up with, which obviously ended up with a lot more space to put objects. This was going to be a corridor or like an airlock that you go through to get into this next room, and then in this setup you've got one room here and then one room off to the side, which was going to be a mess hall and a engineering hall, which was also later changed. That's just a test cube. And then you go into this part here, which is where all the escape pods would be docked, and then here's just a little a little room that was used for the escape pod. The next thing I then went to do was buy an asset pack to use to make the level. This asset pack was the main one that I used and influenced the look of my level more than most other things. Obviously the shape of the level was designed by me on paper, but the look of the level itself and all the assets mostly from this pack, and that influenced the main look of everything. This is the level at its current form, which the level itself is pretty much all finished. As you can see, there are some aspects that were changed from the original one. This room here, rather than just having the square room and then another square room, instead it's been changed to have two levels to it. So there's a lower level and then there's an upper level above it. The upper level is the bridge with a flight console and loads of banks of computers, and then the lower level is engineering with a couple of vats and fuel pods and different switches that allow you to get through to the next part. This part over here is just set dressing that you see through this window, or through this broken door, and that part's all on fire. And as you can see, this main common room is a lot bigger than it was in the grey box level. When you spawn in, it's still very unfinished, mostly because I've run out of time, and that's all outlined in my post-mortem. The stuff that I do have working is there is an inventory system. Let me just get that working better. Move the game view out. Full screen it. So as you can see here, you've got an inventory system which works a lot better. There's 2 rows rather than just 1 at the bottom. Again, this is outlined in my design document and in the post-mortem. The main reason for doing this was the UI pack that I had fit very well, and it wouldn't have worked squished down at the bottom just to have 1 row, so I made it bigger and you have more slots. There's a little item description and a item name at the top there, and it has some button prompts to show you what you need to do. This is the spawn room, so this is the bedroom of the player character. There's some fire coming out the back where the ship's being destroyed, and you have a couple interactable objects in here. There's a document here that you can pick up and well, not a document, but a little tablet here that you can pick up and have a look at. And this has a description and a name on it and a little sprite. And there's a little equipped icon thing there. You can open up this, and inside is a spanner or wrench even that you can use for a later puzzle. There's a keypad here that lets you input numbers, and you have to put in the correct number for it to work. You go through, there's warning light and just objects around to make it feel more like an actual place. There's a laptop here with a note written on it. It says I should note down the code for my door somewhere. The idea is that it pushes you to find the note, which is on this. You pick this up and you see this is the problem. My inventory system doesn't work, and the idea is that you would select it and open it up, and it says that cube sure looks cool, which you can kind of see in the little image, but you would be able to, if it was in the correct slot, you'd be able to press enter. I'll show you that now. So if I restart the game and not pick up that first, but instead pick up this, I press tab and I press enter to view dock as it says at the top. It brings up this and shows what it has on it. You then press tab and escape to close those, and it brings you back into the game. It says that cube sure looks cool, so you have to look at the cubes. Well, that one doesn't have anything on it. This one has a number on it, 9165. So then, if you put that number into the keypad, 9165, press enter, the door opens, a little sound effect plays, and you're into the next room. Now, that is the only door that I managed to get working. Again, that is outlined in my the other 2 documents, mostly in the post-mortem. This is the crew common room as it looks. I tried to make it, obviously there's warning lights everywhere, and there's knocked over furniture and stuff. Your crew quarters name pad has fallen off, and there's fire coming out of here and parts broken down onto the rest of the level. So what you have to do is you have to obviously try and escape from here. This door is supposed to be closed, but because of the broken animations, it's currently underneath the floor. Again, I don't know why. That's just what's happened. There's a laptop here that you can open. In here, there's a back button which will close you back out, and an eject SD card button. When you mouse over it, there's a little things. This one's not super visible. I would probably change that, but I would need to make a custom sprite. This one is more visible because you get the little red outline. You click that, and then you click back, and the little SD card pops out the side. If you then click open, you can then pick that up. The sprite is a little bit squashed in the inventory slot. But the idea is you would then take that and you would put it into the tablet, which would then turn into the master key card, which would then allow you to open up that door. However, because my inventory system is broken, I couldn't get that added in. What I will do now is I will show you the rest of the map. This is the second crew quarters room. There's not a huge amount to see in here. This room in the actual puzzles isn't used a huge amount. You basically have to solve a little puzzle on this, open that up, get something out of it, and then use it for the next puzzle. Which then allows you to do something on this console. You need 3 separate things. You need the master key card that you got from putting the SD card in the tablet. You need the crew, you need the engineer's key card, which is in there, and then you need to pressurize the airlock. As you can see, it says exit and escape pods. This is the airlock in here. That other door would be closed, whereas this one would be also closed. This is where where you're supposed to pressurize the airlock. So this valve was supposed to be off. Unfortunately, it's all one object. So if I come out of the game and go down to the object itself, it's all this one object, which is annoying because I wanted to be able to remove just the handle, pull it off, and then put it on the next part. Pretty much all of the issues I had are all outlined in the post-mortem. I didn't do the best because I kept running into issues and it was really hard to end up actually getting anything working. What I will do, however, is I will move this door, I will open it up, and I will open up the rest of the level so we can have a look at the rest of the level. That is all of the puzzles that actually work. So I'll open up this door, I'll move through, and then I'll go into here. This section here is the only section that was pre-built. Just from like there to there was one section that was taken from the asset pack. The rest is all made just using the assets myself. So you come to this room. Ideally, big green light over there. The player's already learnt that green lights mean that you can go there, because you come out of here, there's a big bright green light over there, which should hopefully draw the player's attention over to this door, which has the sign and says what it is, and then this one's green as well, which means that this room's openable, whereas this one is red and this one is red, which means they're not. You go through here, big green light over there, that must be the escape. You go over there, that door will be closed, and there's different levers and buttons which you would have to put in a code, put in a certain certain layout of buttons and levers in the certain order that would be shown upstairs, as well as getting the power working, which would require turning one of these things in a certain order and pressing a button on the upstairs flight console. These 3 flight consoles here would show you how to change the levers downstairs, levers and buttons, to get the door open. And then this is the way to the lab, which is all shut off and on fire. You're not supposed to go that way. You come into here, that is missing a roof because I deactivated it when showing parts. And you would come to this section, which is the main flight deck, and you would put in the code, which would open up the you would turn on the power from there, go through into here, redirect power to the correct pod, and then go into the correct pod, which is through that door. Problems I had with programming. Most of them. Pretty much anything that I tried did not work as intended, and it was incredibly hard to find any guides that would actually show me what I wanted, because all the code I was using was either custom that I wrote or was adapted from Costas's code, which obviously isn't how everyone else does it. Everyone else does their code in a different way, everyone does their code differently, which then means that it's very hard to fix a problem in a code, in code that isn't written by the person who's trying to fix the problem. The keypad on the door worked fine, but when I tried to add in another keypad to another door and use the same script and the same animator, when you try and use the animation, which is the exact same animation that works on this door here, ideally it should just move this door up the same amount and take the location of this one and change it the same as that one. However, what actually happens is it just throws the door underground. And that's the idle, and then if you go to open, it's just underground and then it moves. It changes the location and it changes it to the wrong place, and no matter what I did, it did not fix it. The only thing I could think of fixing, and what I will hopefully do if I have enough time, is to change it so the door has a completely separate animation. Every single door will have to have a separate animation, even though they're all doing the same thing, and they should be able to use the same animator and the same animations, but what I'll have to do is have different ones, because that doesn't work. The next thing was the inventory system that doesn't let you change which one you've got selected. So if I open up my inventory manager's code, I'm sure it's something tiny that I didn't do, but again, because it's custom code, it's incredibly hard to find out what is actually making the problem. So here's the code that should change it. You've got if key code right arrow or D, and I press those in game and nothing happens. It should check if the current one's less than the inventory limit, and then it should update the current inventory index by plus just move it along one, and then update the inventory. However, none of that happens, and I don't know why. It might be because the FPS controller is like disabled, and it disables the your inputs. I don't know. I couldn't fix it no matter what I tried to do. Yeah, that's that problem. Another issue I had was when I was trying to make the laptop be able to be interacted with. I couldn't get it to work, and I was trying ages to make it work. What I ended up forgetting is I forgot to tag it as interactable. Same with that. Both of that was multiple hours wasted missing one simple thing, which I'm sure I am for most things that I'm trying to get working. It just nothing does, even though it should. And because I couldn't fix the door problem and I couldn't fix the inventory problem, it meant I couldn't do anything else. So in that time that I had, I spent it set dressing the rest of the level and trying to fix it, which ended up just wasting time because I didn't get anywhere. Or I spent it working on the design documents, showing what I would have done. Which obviously meant I ran out of time, and now I don't have a working project. So it's a couple hours after I just did the other parts of the video, and I have just managed to get the combining of the two items working. I'll show you what I mean. So what now happens, I've just removed the door so I don't have to burn the code every time, is this is now a little thing where you just view it, and it just comes out of this rather than it going into inventory. You press escape to close it. So rather than that going into inventory, it just shows you this, because it being in inventory with that on there didn't really do anything anyway. So then, this is also just out here anyway, and I put a little flashy light showing it, because you might have not seen it when you eject it even. But yeah, I've activated it outside the laptop, so I don't have to always click on the laptop every time. Anyway, so what it now does is when you click on it, it checks to see if you have the SD card in your inventory, and if you do, it changes the object to one that you can pick up, and then it has crew quarters master keycard on it instead. Of course, my inventory system's still broken, but what you're then supposed to be able to do is scan the keycard on here. However, that doesn't work. I don't know why. I can't get that to work. I'm going to try to, but it is 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm not quite sure how to fix it. What I have tried, what it currently is it has a keycard scanner script on it, which is here. And this script is supposed to, it inherits from interactive object, so it should get the tooltip can be interactive with execute interactive action thing, but it doesn't seem to, because when I go to here, like when you actually interact with it, it doesn't do anything. I've even put base interactive action, execute interactive action, print click. That doesn't even appear. So I don't know what I'm missing. It is tagged as interactable, so I don't know why it's doing that, but it is, and it won't work. But what it's supposed to do is it's then supposed to check in the inventory if you have an item with blue tablet SD as the name, which is the item that you then get. But that doesn't work. In fact, it should be crew quarters master keycard. So I'm going to change that quickly. Let's see if that will do anything. I mean, I might change something. Never know. I mean, it doesn't even come up with the click, so I'd be surprised if it did fix it. Oh, it did! Oh well, there you go. Live bug fixing. I now have another part of the level working. It will constantly play the... Oh, well, I think that can be fixed quite easily. If I just put in, after this, I'll put in the can be interactive with false code. That should fix that. Let's try that out. Oops. It just adds a timer because it's a part of the... Oh well. Well, I now have that door working. So I now have 2 sets of doors. There is a puzzle. There is an extra puzzle now implemented in the game and working. Woohoo. Time to try and make the other parts work. Update. It's another couple hours later. It's very late in the night. And I'm trying to get the next puzzle working, which will be this console here. I've put a little light to draw more attention to it, put down some little TextMesh Pro text on here, and I'm using just a screenshot of this as the UI. and this is the one that requires the master keycard, technical access key, and to pressure the airlock. So I've written some script for that. It's inheriting from interactive object again. It's getting the main canvas and all those different things that it needs. And currently what it does is it turns on the UI, which is what I'm currently creating, and there's a back button, which I will create. Then I'll have to do a little script that will, if you press a button, it will check if all of the things are active, if all of the things are active in hierarchy, which is how I'm going to check for them. That's how I'm going to check for the valve. But the technical access key and the master keycard, it's going to be a check if you've got them in your inventory, and then remove them if that works. Couldn't quite get the removing script working before, but if I can't get that working, that's okay, because I'll still have the puzzle working. So without thinking, I've just was trying to make the UI for the airlock, and I was just going to use a screenshot, but obviously it's got a background, but because it was a screenshot of the scene view, it was missing a few things. I cut off the sides because at the sides were other parts of the scene view, like this little thing and these progress controls. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this into Photoshop and I'm going to snip around the edges just so you get the control panel itself. Very slight issue. The picture I took has a bit of perspective to it because it was taken in scene view and it was in perspective mode. So there's a bit of a slant to the actual thing itself, but then this text doesn't have it. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment because I really don't have much time left, but if I was going to use more time, I would either take a better picture or integrate it into the actual world or something else. Anyway. Right, so another update. I've been working on getting the next part working, so more working on this. I've changed these objects, so I put in a separate one with the wheel not there, so you can then replace the wheel. I've also put down a little lamp or a little torch down here that just points up at that to make it more visible and much more easy to see. However, the problem I'm having at the moment is I've got an item here that you're supposed to be able to interact with and pull off the wall. So if I go into play mode, go into game, and if I look at it, yeah, look, it's not appearing. It's not giving me a tooltip. Nothing is coming up there, and I have no idea why. It still comes up for the tablet, it still comes up for the laptop, and it still comes up for this. I don't know why it's not coming up for that. That might not be tagged, but I know for a fact that this is. This is definitely tagged, and that's also not being picked up. So if I go into here, see this is tagged as interactable. This has a script on it, and it has a tooltip. Can be interacted with, yes. That should have a tooltip appearing. But it's not. I don't know why. Same with this. This is supposed to be inventory pickup. Wrench, got a name, it's got a description, got a sprite. It's been tagged as pickupable. It's not letting me pick it up. I have no idea why. I'm going to do a quick extra save of the scripts here and then have another go. Probably not going to fix it though. Open up this door. Nope. Raycast does not find it for some reason. I don't know why. It's not the cupboard because I tried it outside the cupboard and it still didn't work. That one, again, I'm not sure. This one, I think the script, I think the script comes from pipe script room 1, come from interactive object. I always have problems with this. And I thought it was just because I forgot to tag it, but this time, no. Well, I will record another bit if I ever get this fixed. Another few hours time and more stuff done. I've been working on the system for the airlock. It's all very messy code. I've got a million public game objects and loads of stuff in the inspector that I just have to plug in. In code I could access it all, I could put it all as a get component from thing and whatever, but I've just found this easier. One thing that I did come across is that in here these TextMesh Pro objects had to be set as TextMesh Pro rather than as game objects, otherwise you couldn't access them and change their colors, which is what this code is for at the moment, or for what some of this code is for anyway, or the bit that I'm working on. And you also have to set, I also found out that you also have to set the ones that are in the UI as TextMesh Pro GUI or UGUI. Otherwise it doesn't work. So I found that out as well. But yeah, now that I'm plugging everything in here, and once I've added those all in here with their certain code that will check if the different parts are active in your inventory and stuff, hopefully that will get all this system working. Then I can just put a simple if statement and that should be able to open the door. So let's try that. Alright, so I've just added in the ability, well, I've just added in the master keycard check, so I'll just show that now. Get out of here, go to laptop, press button, pick up SD card, go to tablet, put it in, pick up tablet. The only problem is, it has it just when you've got it in your inventory. So I need to put in a check for when you... I'll probably put in a button or something, so you'll press E to open this, and then there'll be a... I know, maybe you'll just click on this, or you'll press a button that's here, and then it'll put it in. Or... I kind of want to add in a little extra little object that's next to it, and you press it on there and it inserts it. I'm going to do that. So what I had to do was I took both the checks for the crew quarters keycard and the technical access card out of update because they weren't working. Well, they were working in update, but I wanted a more player involved check for them because I wanted it to seem as if you were actually scanning the cards on the console. I did think about trying to put in a an object, but time constraints, and I couldn't really find a good object, and I would maybe have to add like a little animation, or at least have another prop that would go there. Anyway, so what I've ended up doing instead is having it so you swipe the cards, and you click a button on the thing, and that checks. So I've added crew quarters keycard button, which just checks if the inventory contains the crew quarters master keycard, and then it updates the things. And then the same as the technical access one. So let's try out that. Turn off the canvas. Or turn off the airlock control canvas. Open up this, grab this, bunk bunk, through the door, eject that, get that out. So none of them are updated yet. I put the valve on there, that updates that, and then if I go here and click on the master key card, oh wait, I have not picked up the master key card yet, so I need to go here, tablet, pick it up, Then if I go back, still red, click on that, master keycard. That doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Well, I'll be back once I figure out why that doesn't work. Well, I know exactly why it doesn't work, it's because I forgot to assign the function. So, crew quarters keycard, is that the right one? I think that's the right one. Yeah. Let's try it out again. So I don't need to check the other thing, let's just check the keycard. Ta-da! And now that works, and it's lit up there. Perfect. Well, now for the technical access key. Yeah. Yet another update. And it's incredibly late now. Whatever. I'll just put some random objects in here. This is the technical access key. And I was going to put them in this chest, which has a top on it, and I animated it. However, I don't know what's up with the collisions. I can't figure out what's doing it. But also that cube just goes through the floor. But if something goes on top of it, it just floats. Even though that object of the top is not there anymore. I don't know why that is. Anyway, technical access key, you can pick it up, move over to here, click the button, bang, goes green. So, all three of those are done, and now it's on to programming it to link up to the door, and maybe figuring out what's going on over there. So I've run into another problem. The keypad that I've placed on top of this is so the crate originally was just an interact door, you could just click E and it would open. Now I'm redesigning it to have a keypad in the middle and then two rotors, one rotor either side, and you turn them until it spells the person's name at the top, and then the numbers at the bottom give you the number for the keypad. And that would be good, apart from this keypad here, which is just a normal keypad, but the mesh render is turned off. The problem that I'm having is when it's like this, it should be fine. When it's not, yeah, so that works fine. And that does open it up. But the problem with it is if you attach it to the top part of the crate, you then just can't access it for some reason. Don't know why, can't bother to fix it, it's way too late. I'm just gonna leave it there, I guess, or maybe even just there. Like, well, it's a fix. It'll still be there after. There'll just be a floating keypad interact thing, but that's what we're gonna have to deal with for now. One of the final things I got put in. Keypad still works. I've had to move the rotors over to here because same reason with the keypad, something being on a moving object apparently won't, the interactable script doesn't work with it, don't know why. So what I've got instead is I put them over here. These two numbers should be slightly a different color from the rest. I'm going to make that one the same color as this. So they're a tiny bit different color. Not super noticeable, but what you do to solve the puzzle is you look at the name on the door. So it's Todd, and then you look on here and there are different letters, so you turn it so that the TO is upright, and then you turn this one so the OD is upright, and then you get the numbers from the bottom, which is 7526. You go to here, you put in 7526, you press enter, that opens up, you get the key card, and then you go over to here and you swipe it. And then you get the other ones. Final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to program this door in. Rest of the level is going to be blank. Don't really have enough time for it. That's as much as I'm going to be able to do. So I tried to throw together a really quick menu, main menu to start off with, but it doesn't work. This is the code. Don't know why it doesn't work. It doesn't do any of the locks. This one, yeah, that doesn't work. None of those work. No idea why. You go into the game, and yep, inputs still work. Escape doesn't close it, and the start button also doesn't close it. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to just deactivate that. And then we shall play the final version of the game. So, here we are, start off in the room. I'm going to minimize. Oh, never mind, that doesn't work. Just move that. When it's loaded up on the other screen as well, it's a bit laggy. So you're in the first room. Look around for clues. Oh, what's this? There's a tablet there. Insert the SD card. Can open up this. Oh, I've got a wrench. Let's read that again. This is one thing I haven't fixed. That cube sure looks cool. Oh, what's that on the cube? 9165. 9165. Press enter. Door opens. Go into here. Open up the laptop. Press the eject SD card button. Get the SD card. Go into here. Click on it. Put the SD card in. Pick it up. Then you can go over here. You can scan the SD card. Or scan the key card even. Then you can oh look, we need a code for this. So we go over here. There's the spinny puzzle. And you don't know what it is, so you go and have a look at the name of the door. It says Todd. Go over here. Spin these until it says Todd at the top, and then you get the number 7526. 7526. Press enter. Get that. Come out here. Go to here. You need the master key card, technical access key. I've got the master key card and the technical access key. You need to pressure the airlock so I can put those in. Open door doesn't work because airlock's not pressured. So I need to go back in here. Take the valve falls down. Pick up the valve. Go back in here. Put the valve on the pipe. That's now done. Click open door, and the door opens. And that's the end of all the puzzles. This took way longer than it should, and it was way harder than it should have been. But it does finally work, if only half of it. But I am still relatively happy with what I've ended up with. That was my entire developer's commentary, and that's it.